We're going to skip a little bit. Oh. You ready? So tonight's Chabur is sponsored by Sandy and Sid Goldschmidt in memory of Sid's mother, Kreindel Bas Meir. And Shama should have an aliyah. So we're going to skip a little bit. We last time we learned the sugya on Daf Yutes on the base, the sugya about David HaMelech with Shaul's daughter and Palti ben Laish. So the Gemara continues on, finishes the story of Palti ben Laish and goes into an agadata, a few different ways of darshaning the pasuk in Eshes Chayil, the top of Chaf Amid Aleph, Shecher Achein veHevel Ayofi. Which door is it talking about? And then the Mishnah on Daf Chaf discusses the way that the Melech. We discussed the way that the Kohen Gadol follows the mace if he deals with a nifter in his family. So the Melech, if the Melech is allowed to go out and follow the nifter, is it not covered? And then the Mishnah discusses in the last line of the Mishnah, just parenthetically, very quickly, Kishim so when they come to visit him and they sit and they have Sudas Avra, Kola Am Mesubin ala Aretz, all of the nation sits on the ground, V'hu Mesiv ala Dargesh, and he sits on some sort of stool, some sort of lower chair. So the Gemara here discusses the entire Gemara. I didn't really want to get into great detail with it. It discusses the idea, which is not Nogeya Bizman Hazeh, but was a halacha Bizmanehem of Kfiyas Hamita, that in the times of the Gemara they used to flip the mattresses. So the poskim say our beds are different, and they're not made. That's part of what the Shakavatari is. You know, what happens if you have a bed with like straps and not, so I know you all wanted to discuss all the different types of beds, but we're going to say that for another time. But so that's the Gemara discusses Kfiyas Hamita on all these different types of beds. But what is Nogeil in Yanenu, which is fascinating, is that Rav Soloveitchik discussed on this Gemara that the reason why there's a concept by an Avel of Kfiyas Hamita is a way of demonstrating that there's a minimization. A minimal. Is that the word? Minimization.
Reduction.
Yeah, but is there a minimization? Is that a word? I think I made it up.
It
no?
is now. It is now.
It is now. There is a reduction. No, reduction is not the word. Minimization. We'll stick with minimization. So there's the HaKadosh Baruch Hu minimized in this house the amount of Tzelem Elokim, and you represent that by the bed. The bed now cannot be on the same form that it was beforehand, and that's the hecker that is done, and it's not necessarily only relevant to the bed that the Avil is sleeping on. I mean, Rav Soloveitchik pointed out that if you look through the way the Rishonim bring down this halacha, it's not just the nihug of the Avil, but rather it's the nihug of the base Avil. And he said that it could be Nogeya. Let's say right. We usually the minig is the halacha is preferred that you should really sit shiva in the base Avil where the person act in the base hames, the base of the niftar, and the person and when that's possible, that's always recommended. So Rav Soloveitchik said that if your house, when the halacha of Kfiyas Hamita was Nogeya, so if your house was in that same town, there was a shaychus to me as an Avel, so there would be a din on that base Avel also, that there should be a minimum. In my life, there's a minimizing of Tzelem Elokim. How does this play out Lamaisa? So it plays out Lamaisa as a minig, that is the Rav Soloveitchik suggested. No one really knows where this comes from, but that was his suggestion, and that was classic Rav Soloveitchik, that he explained Al Pi Halacha all of the source of Oram Ar Minhagim, that all of our Minhagim are Kedoshim and really coming from earlier sources. And he says that's the source for covering the mirrors and covering the pictures. that is a form of demonstrating Tzelem Elokim Bizman Hazeh. We don't have Kviyas Hamita, but we can show that in a little bit of a way that there's a Tzelem Elokim. So now if you translate all of that, so now if you're in the same town, see, even though the base, you've never heard, usually you don't think about this, but even though no one's walking into my house, and kids are going to be there, and I'm in the base Oval all week, but it could be, according to Rav Soloveitchik's Cheshbon, within the same town. So maybe the mirror should be covered also there, just like the halachas of Kviyas Hamita would be that we're doing something different than we do in the house of the Avil in a regular way. Okay.
Something to do with comfort? Something to do with comfort?
No, nothing to do with comfort, right? Good. It's a conversation I've had with many different Avelim, because that's one thing that they're all focused on, because that's what you do, and it's not clear where it's coming from, but Soloveitchik gave a really an understandable hesber to this, that we believe that the neshama is still around, but the physical presentation, the picture of the body, that's that image of Tzelem Elokim, that's no longer around. Fine. So the Gemara goes on with the dinim of Melech as the parak continues on the halachas of Melech, and the truth is really we continuing the mode of the last year that we gave, which is really just Prakim in Tanakh, to really understand Prakim in Tanakh in light of the Gemaras that we're learning. So the Gemara says, what happened to that clock?
It's there and
it's not set.
It's battery.
Okay, so can I get a watch? Yeah. Umaitzi.
Where are
we are on Chafam Beis the Mishnah. Umaitzi l'melchemes harishus al pi bezdin shel shivim ve'echad. So Melech has the right to be Moitzi, to go out to Melchemes Rishus. We learned about this in the first parak, that there are differences between Melchemes Mitzvah and Melchemes Rishus. We spoke about Bizman Hazeh, that the IDF, whatever they're founded based on, is based on Melchemes Mitzvah. They can't make Melchemes Rishus. Just because they want to just decide to attack, they don't have that ability. And Melchemes Mitzvah, Melchemes Rishus, that was limited to a Melech. It's a question, what does a Melech mean? Does a Melech mean a government? There is a Ramban in Sefer HaMitzvos that sounds like, and Rav Shechter quotes this La'alacha, that sounds like that Melech is Lav Dafka. It's any government, and maybe we'll see some more sources to that. But any Jewish elected leader. But this is for sure a unique dimension that the Melech has the ability to be Maitzil Melchemes Rishus. So then the Mishnah just adds in Al Pi Bezdin Shel Shivim Ve'echad. So if you have the Ran I just quoted in on the other side of the Malbim. So the first Ran on Chafam Beis, the Ran says it's like this is a deflating line in the Mishnah. You have it? It's the opposite side. You have it? Yeah, one more. So the Ran says on Chafam Beis, the first one on Chafam Beis, on Kuf Lamed Vav, so the Ran says, understand, Motzir Yisrael Rishus. So you tell me you have, Skishmak, the Melech has the ability to go to war, he can decide on his own volition to go to war, great. Perisha, Melech Yachal Lahachnes Ha'am Lahotzin Lamekam Chavtzo. V'zu Achas Mimaylas HaMalchus. Melech has the ability to go out to war, and that's what his Milo of being a Melech. So it says the Ran, but what does it mean? Al Pi Bezin Shel Ayin V'Alef. So they can veto it. This is like, a government with Donald Trump in Congress. You can't get anything done. You want to go to war, and he can't, and they vote him down. Therefore says the Ran, it can't mean that they can actually veto him. He's meshubit to whatever Bezdin Shalayin Aleph says. So says the Ran, that's not the way you can understand. So then the Ran leaves us hanging. So the Ran says, okay, so what does it mean, Al Pi Bezdin Shel Shivim Echad? So, Nira Lafi Ani Az Daiti, I think we quoted this B'Shaito, that Rashi in Brachos, when it quotes this din, when we learned the Gemara that they came to David HaMelech at Chatzos, and they asked him, could we go to war, right? Pischu B'Gdud, that we need to have Parnasa, right? And the Gemara says that they went to be Yoetz, and the Melech, and the Yoetz, and the Bezdin Shalayin Aleph. So Rashi in Brachos writes on that Gemara, why'd they go to the Bezdin Shalayin Aleph? To daven on their behalf, not to get Rishus. So the Ran's holding that same shot, that the Ran's holding that this is not to minimize. The Melech can go out on his own. He doesn't need it. Other Rishonim are going to say, no. In Echanami, one of the votes to go to war is whether or not the Melech can go, but he also needs the vote of Bezdin Shalayin Aleph. The Ran says that can't be, because then that's not a Mila. That shouldn't be in our parak, that it's not a Mila of Melech if he could be vetoed. So therefore, the Ran's going to hold similar to Rashi in Brachos, that Rashi held it was just for davening on their behalf. Good. So the Gemara says, Tanina, I understand we already had this in the first parak. We learned this already in the first parak. So the Gemara says, I did the Tana Kol Mili de Melech, Tana Nami Motzil Melech Melchames HaRishos. So the Gemara says, you're right. Once we were learning all the Dina Melech, we wanted to group it in the second parak of all the Dina Malchus that he can go out to Melchames HaRishos. Good. Brand new sugya. Amr Rav Yehuda Amr Shmuel. Kol Amr b'Parshas Melech, Melech Mutter bo. So Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, anything that's said in Parshas Melech, Melech Mutter bo. Rav Amar lo nemar Parsh zu elo la'ayim aleim. Shneemar son tasim alecha Melech shetehei emasu alecha. What bechlal is going on in this Gemara? What's Parshas Melech? What's the Ema? What's going on? So Shmuel says there's something called Parshas Melech. So Zokt Rashi, Parshas Melech b'Sefer Shmuel, Shmuel Aleph Perek Ches, B'neichem v'neisechem yichak k'yotze behem. Rav Amar lo nemar Parshas de Shmuel elo la'ayim aleim shtehei emas ma'alkom aleim aval einam muter lasas. So let's open up a Shmuel and let's understand what's going on over here. Vayihi kasher zaken Shmuel vayasem es bonav shoiftim liYisrael. I didn't have the psukim here, just listen for a second. Vayihi shem beno abchor yol v'shem mishneo aviyah shoiftim be'er shava. Talking about people who weren't matzliach in chinuch habana. Shmuel had difficult children. V'loy holchu bonav bedarkov. And his children did not follow in his ways. Vayitu achrei abotza, vayikchu shoichad, vayatu mishpat. They were taking bribes, they were messing up the legal system. Vayiskabtzu kol ziknei Yisrael vayavol Shmuel haramosa. And they gathered, the Zignei Yisrael came to Shmuel. Vayomer alav hine ata zakanta, you're old. Uvanecha lo holchu b'derachacha, and your children are not going your ways. Ata sima lanu melech l'shaftenu kechol hagoyim. Make us have a king. Vayera adavar be'enei Shmuel. Shmuel is very unhappy. Kasher amru tana lanu melech l'shaftenu vayispal Shmuel al Hashem, and Shmuel daven towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vayomer Hashem el Shmuel, and Hashem said to Shmuel, Shma b'kol ha'am l'chol asher yomru eilecha. Listen to the nation. Ki lo yischam ma'asu ki osi ma'asu mimloch aleim. They're not, it's nothing to do with you, right? It's like, it's not about you, it's about me. So where did we get that line? We got that from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that. So, mahu rachu ma'apato rachu. Kechol ha'masim asher asu miyoyim alosi asami mitzrayim v'ad hayom hazeh v'yazvunu v'yavdu elohim achirim kein hema osam gam loch. They're off the derech. V'ata shma b'kolam. Listen to what they're saying. Ach ki hoyed toy bohem. This is the key. But you should testify to them. You should announce to them. V'higadet alehem, and tell them. Mishpot hamelech asher yimloch aleim. Let them understand what it means to have a king. Vayomer Shmuel kol dever Hashem la'am hasholam yito melech. So he came back with the message from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does that mean? Vayomer zeyeh mishpat hamelech. You want a king? This is the mishpat hamelech. Asher yimloch aleim as b'neichem yikoch. Can draft your children whenever he wants. V'sam loy b'merkavto, and they can be in his chariots. Ubefroshav, and his warriors. V'rotzu lefnei merkavto. V'losum lo sari alofim v'sari chamishim v'lachrosh charisho. He has the ability to plow his lands. V'liktor tziro. He has the ability to harvest. V'lasos klei melchamto uklei richpo. He has the ability to take over. V'esbenosechem yikach l'rachos v'l'tabachos v'l'opos. Bakers, cooks. He can take your daughters. V'esedosechem, your fields. V'eskarmechem v'zeisechem atoivim yikach v'nosan la'avodav. V'zarechem v'charmechem, all your vineyards, all everything yaser. V'nosan l'sarisa v'avodav. You have to give to his kingdom. V'esavdechem v'eshuvchesim v'escharem atovim v'eschamorechem yikach v'asalim lachto. So Shmuel is presenting this whole thing, and he's saying, "You really want melech? Let me explain to you what melech is. It means taxes. It means you're not going to have what you earn. Sonchem yaser v'atem tiyulo la'avodim. You're going to be slaves. Uzaaktem b'yom ha'um l'fnei malkachem shebachartem lem v'lo yana Hashem eschem b'yom ha'u." Says the pasuk. What's the conclusion? Vayamanu ha'am l'shmo v'kol Shmuel. They didn't want to listen. Vayomer lo ki yem melech yeh elenu. We want the king. Good. So it's not clear in this psukim is when Shmuel said this whole idea, right? It was Shmuel's response to be the retort to them requesting a melech. So now, how do we deal with that? Is that a din, or is that not a din? So that's the machlokes in our Gemara. So now you go back to the first of the wide lines in our Gemara. They're arguing how to understand the whole parak. Shmuel Aleph Parak Ches. Kol Omer beParshas Melech. That's Parshas Melech. Melech muter bo. So those are dinim that are shayach taka the melech. Melech has access to all these things from the zera, from the kotzer, from the avodim, from the banim, from the shvachos, everything. Rav Amar loy nemer parsha zeh elo la'ayim aleim. No, this was just important in order to just instill some fear into Am Yisrael. Why? Because Rav says, because the pasuk says, Shenemar, soim tasam alechem melech, sheteim maso alechem. What's not clear in his machlekes rishonim is, and according to Shmuel, that it is Nogeya, and the Melech has all access, right? Does he have access to all of Parshas Melech on just because he decides he wants something extra, he wants to make his kingdom nicer, or if he needs it for his, specifically when he needs it for the army, or he needs it for battle. Let's say Shaloi B'Shas Milchama. Does a Melech have all these heterim? That's a din amongst the Rishonim, even according to the tzad that learns Kol Omer Parshas Pelach Melech Muterbo. Maybe that's only L'tzorech Milchama or L'tzorech La'am, but Stam, just because the Melech wants it, not necessarily going to be a heter. But again, so Rav is disagreeing with Shmuel, and Rav saying it never even was true. It was just in order so that it should be Kadesh La'ayim Aleim. Yehuda Omer lo never parsha zu el k'day le'em shneimar somtos el chalech shtei maso alecha. V'chein haya Rabbi Yehuda Omer, and so did Rabbi Yehuda's Rabbi Yehuda l'shitaso. Gimel mitzvos Yisrael v'chnisasam le'aretz lahamid lehem melech lahachar zar shal malech v'livnos lehem beis habchira. So there's 3 mitzvahs which we have to do, which we're probably going to discuss next week, which is that these 3 mitzvahs that are linked one another, which is very, very important la'alacha, that there's a seder hadavar and one can't be before the other. You have to be machar zara shel amalek, and first you have to be mamed melech, then you have to machar zara shel melech, and then you can build a beis hamikdash. But my question is, what is v'chein haya Rabbi Yehuda Omer? What's the l'shitasa? What's the v'chein? Again, the Gemara said Shmuel was of the opinion that melech has all access. Rav is of the opinion, no, Melech doesn't have access, and the reason it was said was Kedei la'ayim aleim. So what's the v'chein? The v'chein is that Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that there's a mitzvah to be Mamed a Melech. Which means what? Apparently there's some opinions that don't hold that there's a mitzvah to be Mamed a Melech. As we're going to see in a second. This is a setup to the next line of the Gemara. Rab Nehuroi Omer, Loinema Parsha Zu Ela Kedeget Taramosa. What does that mean? It means this whole parsha, not only was it not only to be ma'ayim aleim, which is a t'nai and a halacha in covered malchus, right? That we learned a few weeks ago. Why can't a melech be moichel on his covered? That there's a din som to say melecha shetei maso alecha. It's constant fear. That's one of the pratim of Hilchos Malchus. Reb Nerai says no. The Pashup Shan in this Gemara is Reb Nerai disagrees even with Rabbi Yehuda. That said what? That said this parsha was not telling you things that he's allowed to have access for. It was just to tell you one of the halachos of Hilchos Malchus. What is Hilchos Malchus? There should be fear in the Am for the Melech. That's crucial, that the Melech should be Shetei Maso Alecha. Why does Reb Nerai disagree with that? Pashup Shan in the Gemara is Reb Nerai holds what? There is no mitzvah to be Mamed a Melech in Klal Yisrael. That's the Pashup Shan in the Gemara. Now you understand the v'chein. Again, Shmuel comes out and starts out the Gemara and says what? He says, Kol Omer Parshas Melech Shmuel Aleph Perek Ches Pashup Shan Melech has all access to all these entities that Shmuel introduced to the Yam. Rav said you misunderstood the whole parsha. That's not what the pasuk was saying. It was just telling you one of the hilchos of Malchus to instill fear. Kadesh Shadei Moso Alecha, because there's a mitzvah called Som Tasim Alecha Melech. V'chein Hoyer Rabbi Yehuda Omer. And so too, there's a brayso that says, Rabbi Yehuda says, there's a mitzvah. What's the mitzvah? First, you should be Mamen HaMelech. Then you could deal with Amalek. Then you could build the Beis HaMikdash. So we see it's a mitzvah to be Mamen HaMelech. And that's Rabbi Yehuda L'shitaso. Oh, so I was reading the Gemara and I was saying, what is it? And who doesn't hold like that? How can you not hold like that? Rab Nerai doesn't hold like that. Rab Nerai holds, no, the whole parsha was Keneged Taramoson. What does it mean, Keneged Taramoson? They were complainers. It means what? They were wrong. And Shmuel responded like that they shouldn't have asked for a melech. Pashup Shan in our Gemara is that Reb Nerai holds there is no mitzvah to be mamed a melech. Rabbi, you ever open up a parsha shoftim? Doesn't the pasuk say Soim Tasim Alecha Melech?
If you have a king.
What?
Maybe he's saying only if you have a
beautiful. So that's what the Torah is telling you. Yeah, if you have kvetchers, and it's unbelievable. I don't have a chumash. We have a chumash down here. The chumash there says paraphrasing the pasuk, v'hoya kiyo. It's not worth it. V'hoya kiyoimru aleichem. When they are going to tell to you, right? Asima alai melech, placed on me a king. So the Mefarshim say, when is this referring to? This is HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Parsha Shoftim, presenting a nevuah, what's going to exist later on in Shmuel Aleph Perek Ches, which is unfortunate. Then I'm going to go in the Eitan's Pshat and I'm going to say, is a din called Melech, but never to exist to create a mitzvah. And Reb Neroy holds this all Keneged Taramos, and this is a b'di'evet. This is all not ideal. And now, if that's the Pshat, then you understand, v'chein. Now you understand, Rabbi Yehuda was other, he wasn't as extreme as Shmuel, that he said, Kol HaOmer Parshas Melech Mutter Bo. But he still holds that there's a mitzvah of Malchus. So now we have to ask ourselves two questions. Number one, according to Shmuel and according to Rabbi Yehuda, why was Shmuel upset? What was the problem? Because if they're holding, and it's a v'chein, and there's a mitzvah, so adrabah, so Shmuel should be very happy. Number two, why did it take so long to do this mitzvah? Why are we waiting till Shalom Melech to do this mitzvah? We've had many years that we could have fulfilled the mitzvah in Parsha Shoftim. Number three, why does it say Ki Yoimru Aleichem? HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mitzvah and Malchus. We should do it. We should do it right away. A lot of kashas over here. From the Roy makes a lot of sense, but we can't accept that. And the Rambam does not hold like that. The Rambam holds that, number one, the Rambam holds that there's a mitzvah to be Mamed HaMelech, so Im Tasim Melech HaMelech, like many Rishonim hold. But I want to tell you right now, our Mahalach that we're saying this Gemara is definitely true amongst some Rishonim, because I'll tell you right now, the Ibn Ezra and the Abarbanel Paskin, that there is no mitzvah to be Mamed HaMelech. So where'd they come from? They came from Sanhedrin, from Mavis. They obviously learned it was a machlekes in the Gemara. And that's the way the v'chein comes out. They're paskening like Reb Neroy. And it was only Keneged Taramusim. And that's the way they read Navi Shmuel. That's the way. That's the whole Pashup Shot, the basics of the story. It was taka a bad thing. And there is no mitzvah.
How does the Rambam read?
So how does the Rambam read? So the Rambam deals with this. The Rambam in Hilchos Malachim says, Kol Omer Parshas Melech, Melech Mutter Bo. Rishus Yesh Melech Litin Masal Ha'am Perek Dalet. I'm not even going to read all of it to save time. He goes through all the different din in Perek Dalet of what he's allowed to take. We'll come back to Perek Dalet in a second. I asked Eitan, how's the Rambam going to read the story of Shmuel? Right? He's clearly paskening like the first day in Shmuel. I don't have kashas on him from Reb Neroy because he's paskening like Shmuel. Kol Omer Peshes Melech Mutter Bo. He paskens the biggest kula. But he has to explain away. He has to explain away Shmuel, Navi Shmuel. So if the Rambam, Minoi Melech, Perek Aleph Halacha Beis in Hilchos Malachim. Minoi Melech koidem lo lechemes hamalech. Shneimar oisi shalach Hashem lemashcha lemelech. Atalech lekises hamalek. Me'acher she'akomas hamelech mitzvah. Lama rotza HaKadosh Baruch Hu g'sheshalu melech mishmuel lefi sheshalu b'tarumis v'lo shalu lekayim ha-mitzvah el lefi shekotzu b'shmuel hanavi. So the Rambam says, you're right, it is a mitzvah. But there's a tzura to the mitzvah. And the way that they wanted, they didn't want this, the way they wanted a melech was, listen how they introduce him. Any guy who's running a company, this is not the way you do it. You say, you did great work, it's just not a perfect fit, whatever it is.
Well, this is what they say in Shoftim.
Because
the Shoftim is almost milah b'milah.
They say, what, in Shoftim?
Yeah, it's almost milah b'milah. It says, Hashem actually says, exactly what happens. That
right.
Someone would come and ask.
That's what it says in Parsha Shoftim.
Shoftim,
yeah.
Shoftim.
Right.
It's milah b'milah.
Right.
So it's
No. It says in Parsha Shoftim when they're going to ask for a king.
Yes.
The Rambam says if they would have asked for a king, Givaldik. The Rambam says what they want. They said, Shmuel, we had enough of you. Shmuel, you're old. Shmuel, you're not good for us anymore. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to that, first of all, Shmuel was okay. Mm-hmm. Second of all, it's not that you want a king to be Mamid and to be Mekayim. If you would have came in and said, Shmuel, you're a Navi, great. But we want to be Mekayim the mitzvah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have said, Givaldik. But what they say is, no, we want.
But he said also in Parshat Shoftim, he said,
right. That's true. It does say go.
You cannot go and says like.
But you have to know how to read the pasuk there. Does that pasuk mean that their interest is to be like the Kol HaGoyim, or is just that we want a melech just like goyim have a melech. I mean, that's a reference to what a king is. So this is this long malbim. The malbim on these psukim in Shmuel Aleph. What? Right. So the malbim talks about 3 different reasons he speaks about why if there's he's going with the assumption like the Rambam that there is a mitzvah to be mamin a melech. So in Cain, you have a real difficulty understanding all these psukim. So he says in Aleph, you see, he lists Aleph, Beis, Gimel. So, where's Abe? Yeah.
It's about 10 lines down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The first word in the it's Tarishona. And then go in, and then it says.
Yeah, where's the Aleph?
Right here.
In the middle of the line.
I have a few Aleph.
Harishona.
Yeah, no, but that's Aleph, Beis, Gimel. But then I have Beis. I have Pagmu. Oh, so let's start the Aleph at the top. It's like 5 lines from the top. I think that's it. Shagam shatar tzivsa yetir lakim melech. Right? What does he mean? Tzivsa right? Hakos of hisna bezev amr kisava la'aretz v'yirash v'yashavta ba v'marta asim alay melech rotzlomer ki akamas hamelech hechrechi ela kibbutz v'nitzrach ma'oid kmo shekazav achaykim sheyichas hamelech b'kibbutz hamidyani kechol b'midini ki yichus halev beguf. Right, Abal Chai Asher Lo Leiv. Right, the Melech is considered. Right, the Rambam writes like this that the Melech is the Leiv Ha'am. The Melech is like a Leiv of a Guf. Ukiyichas Hametzias Elasiba Rishoni Yisalav Yomer Sham Malchus Yikayim Begimel Dvarim. Fine. So what's he saying? Omnam Kol Zeh. Skip a line. Kol Zeh Lahamis Asher Pnei Adam Misnagim Kefi Talucho Tateva, which is just fascinating to keep in perspective. That's what Parsha Shoftim is. Parsha Shoftim is a reality of, you know what, there's going to be a situation that we're not going to have Dora Midbar life. We're not going to have Be'er Miriam. We're not going to have Mun coming down from Shemayim. We're going to have reality. We're going to have, agriculture. We're going to have work. We're going to have coming into Eretz Yisrael. We're going to have Kehilchas HaTeva. So then, that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu introduces, so now you should have a Melech. Now you should have a Melech. So says the Malbim, but this wasn't Nogay in the times of Shmuel. Shmuel was still working Al Pi Nevuah, so it wasn't necessary to go to, according to the first pshat of the Malbim, to this Tevadika lifestyle of Melech. You were applying the different rules in a different situation, which wasn't correct. Okay, that was one pshat. Beis, let's skip down all the way down to Beis, which is probably like 20 lines down. First one line is B'chaya Shmuel. Pagmu b'zeh b'kavod Shmuel. They just insulted Shmuel. Right? He's old. If we need it for battle, fine. So Shmuel can't go to battle. But what they ask? They asked for a shayfet. Shmuel was the shayfet at that time. What an insult. Well, he's not doing a good job? So that was the answer. Or Gimel, says third pshat is his third pshat is like what Eitan was saying, it's kechol hagoyim. We didn't want it to be al pi Torah. We want it to be, we want a melech, and we want him to be like the melech of the goyim, and we want him to be civil law. We want him to be regular societal law, and that should be what is kovei, and it shouldn't be al pi Torah. So those were the 3 pshatim. Again, the Malbim is all in the assumption, like the Rambam, that's paskening la'alacha, that what? That's paskening la'alacha that there is a mitzvah to be Ma'amad Melech. So therefore, you're not going to be able to go with Rav Nuroi's pshat in Shmuel Aleph. So now you're going to have to explain away a different pshat. So that's the Tarumis. And you have one of these 3 pshatim of what exactly was the problem and why was it wrong for them to ask for it in that way, if you're going to hold that there is a mitzvah to be Mamid a Melech. Fine. What is fascinating, I really find this fascinating, is that there is a famous concept in Shas, brought down 4 times in Shas. Baba Kama, Nidarim, Baba Basra, and Gittin. Okay? 4 times in Shas, of the halacha of Dina de Malchus Dina. So the Gemara here is talking about taxes. We've discussed this Gemara. This is the Darshan Meskavim with Kilayim Gemaras. We spoke about this a few times. So Gemara quotes from a memra 4 times in Shas. V'amer Shmu v'mochsin, and they're and you could cheat the tax collectors. That's what this is the story. Like I don't know if you remember my father. My father, when he was moving back from Eretz Yisrael, after he lost his job fighting in the Yom Kippur War, so he lost his job in Hadassah, and he had an opening in Brooklyn, and so my uncle found him this opening, and that's how he got his job there. So they were moving back, and they were overweight. So my father went to the bathroom, put on all these layers of clothing, started walking out like as if he had this bulletproof suit on, and that's how he went on the plane. Okay, so that's this Gemara. That's where he got this from. This Gemara, the Gemara says if you have a tax, so if you want to just wear the kilayim, wasn't checked for shatnez, you want to wear the kilayim to go again to circumvent the tax collectors. So the Gemara says Darshan Meskavim Machlekes Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon. Fine. So Gemara says, how could that be? V'Amar Shmuel Dina de Malchusa Dina. So Gemara Fratakashe Dina de Malchusa Dina. Doesn't Shmuel say Dina de Malchusa Dina? Which means what? Which means that in monetary law, not in Isser V'Heter, but in monetary law, whatever the government decides is kaiveya, and that's what we have to follow. And it's considered to be against halacha if you cheat the government and you do not abide by the laws of the government. That's Dina de Malchusa Dina. That's halacha psuka, and that's not debated. Now that will affect monetary law. Just as an aside, just what the caveats are that I don't want to get into great detail. There's a major machlekes between the Ram and the Rashba, and the Shach Paskins La'alach that's not going to be applicable where it's keneged the din. It's a little complicated where it's keneged the din Torah. Meaning, is Dina de Malchusa Dina just where we don't have any laws about this? What if it's keneged? The Dina de Malchusa Dina is telling you now, go against the din Torah. So that's a machlekes Rishonim. And that's a discussion. That's where the Shach Paskins, I believe, like the Rashba, that Dina de Malchusa Dina would not apply in that situation. Again, within monetary law, within Isser V'Heter, no one gives them access and gives them credence and ability to paskin that. But Dina de Malchusa Dina, most of these all these the laws that we follow, most of the laws that they set up in order for us to live civilly are not connected the dinim in Shulchan Aruch, and therefore the din is that we have to follow their new made up laws. There's an interesting Ritva in Bava Basra where this comes up on Daf Nenei. So the Ritva writes, Dina de Malchusa Dina. He makes a diak. I found this diak very nice. He says, Omrim Dina de Malchusa, right? Aval Mamel Kovos din Chadash, Lav Dinu Achi Yaskimu Lav Kol Achi Malchusa. So this is the raya that you need checks and balances. You need a government. You can't just be a dictator that decides to change. Why? Listen to this dik. Dina de Malka Dina. Never said Dina de Malka Dina. It said Dina de Malchusa Dina. Means you need to have a government. You need to have a House of Representatives. You need to have checks and balances. You need to have a Dina de Malchusa Dina. And then, if it's going to be a new law, then it's going to pass. Just in terms of it has to be equal. It has to be, if there's any sense of discrimination, the Rishonim write, in any time in history, any time a king was discriminating against Jews, so that's clearly that obviously pokes a hole in the whole Din de Malchusa Dina, and we don't have to follow the Din de Malchusa Dina if there's any discrimination. But any law that he applies to everyone, so that would be Din de Malchusa Dina. So listen to this. Listen to what the Radvaz says, and listen to what already the Ritva says. Sorry, I shouldn't have closed this. The Ritva says on that diak, Din de Malchusa Dina, just unbelievable within our Gemara. We're learning a brand new sugya now. Mitzim Rebbe Shmuel Shapirish LeYisrael Chukei HaMelech Sedoseim Yikach V'hu HaOmer B'Sanhedrin Kol HaOmer B'Parshas Melech Mutter Bo. You realize what just happened? The Ritva and the Radvaz writes this on the Rambam in Perek Dalet of Hilchos Malachim says our Gemara that we just started with what? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel Kol Omer Parshas Melech Mutter Bo. So we thought it's just a machlokes. how to learn Pshat and Shmuel. Was it just to scare them? Within the Mefarshim that understand that there is a mitzvah of Melech, was that whole spiel about what he's going to have access to and what he's being able to collect, was that just Kedei La'ayim Aleim, just to scare them in order that there should be Emas HaMalchus, which is something that's important for the mitzvah of Melech? Or it was literal and then he can get all that access? That was the machlekes. Do we just literally read these psukim or not? Comes along the Ritva and Bava Basra and says, no! You misunderstood what's going on in our Gemara. Everybody say it's Gevaldik. Who's the Bala Memra in our Gemara? Amar of Yud Amar Shmuel. Kola Amar of Parshas Melech Muterbo. If I would want to summarize our sugya, what am I saying over here? This is the source. Shmuel Aleph, Perek Ches, Dina de Malchus Dina. It's not just a svara that Shmuel comes up with in Baba Kama where he says, oh, V'hamar Shmuel Dina de Malchus Dina. According to the Ritvash Pshat, no, this is the source. This is Dina Malchus Dina. That's what Shmuel's saying. And it's learned out by Malchi Yisrael. It's learned out by Malchi Yisrael. That's exactly the Psukim and Shmuel are teaching us. Take her literally. Read the Psukim literally. This is really what the Melech is going to be able to take from you. It wasn't just Kedei La'ayim Aleim. And Avada, there's a mitzvah to be Mamed HaMelech like we discussed. But even within the mitzvah of being Mamed HaMelech, do we read these Psukim literally? Do we not read the Psukim literally? That's not the only thing that's going on in the background of a Gemara. He's introducing a brand new halacha called Dina de Malchus Dina, which means this is not only relevant. Not only do we read literally Shmuel Aleph Alach Paraches, but it's not only Nogeya to Malchi Yisrael. This is the source for everywhere in Shas that they're applying it to Malchi Akum. That Dina de Malchus Dina. Now you're extrapolating from the Mishpat HaMelucha that Shmuel introduced to everyone else. Not only a literal read that's going to apply to what? To Malchi Yisrael. Now this is going to be the source Al Pi Din to Dina de Malchus Dina. Just stand by the way, just we're discussing this. How does Dina Malchus Dina work? How does it work, Bichlal? So the Rishonim in Akotza Lakotza, how it works. Rabbi Yonah writes the Dvar of Ram Paskins that it works. Bezdin has a koyach, hefker Bezdin hefker, just like Bezdin has a koyach to be mafkir your nechasim in Dinei Mamanis, which is where we're applying Dina de Malchus Dina. They have the ability to now make you not own your nechasim. That was psukim that granted Bezdin the koyach to be mafkir your nechasim. So that authority was given over to the Melech as well through Hefker Bezdin Hefker. There's a din called Dina de Malchus Dina. That's one approach. Another approach is the approach of the Rashbam. The Rashbam and Babasa says a totally different pshat. The Rashbam say no. This is like a T'nai in Davar Shabbat, which means what? I accept the rule. I accept the rules of where I'm going to live. So I understand when I move into this community that there's some rules over here. So that's something that I accepted. So by the fact that I accepted it, so that therefore that's as if what?
There's a problem there. Mm-hmm. What happens if I live there and the rules change and I don't like it?
So then you have to move out. By definition, no. It's not that no one really asked you, Adi. We don't really care what you think. But I'm saying, but by definition, by you becoming a resident of Fairlawn, so you're accepting the rules.
This is not Fairlawn, 2,000 years ago. There was like
no, this is Fairlawn. No, this is fair. No. This is Fairlawn. This is Shmuel. Yeah. This is Al Pi Din. Why is this cop able to? Why Al Pi Din do I have to listen to this cop that pulls me over? Because I accept his rules. What?
Why is it limited to Dina Mamanos then?
Because we.
Mm-hmm.
Because we only have this concept of Dinei Mamanis that my haskama works. You have a concept of masna mashakos of the Torah, right? If I don't want to take afroshas challah, if I don't want to do hagolas kelim, you can make a tanai as much as you want. You could accept anything as much as you want. You're not a bailam on that. When it comes to Dinei Mamanis, we can stipulate our own stipulation. So kol tanai b'davar shem mammon to know kain that he has the ability to make that tanai. B'stama, that's what the Rashbam is based on.
And if it's discriminatory against Jews, why should that matter then? If you live here and it's bad for Jews.
And I accept it.
Yeah.
And I accept it.
Not living here, you accept it.
I hear. I don't know. Maybe by definition, I would never accept. That obviously is not something I would accept.
Well, I'm saying if that's the rationale.
I think that.
They have to answer every
No, I think it makes sense. Meaning the rules that apply to the general public that make sense and are applied without discrimination is something when I move in by definition that I accept. If a king wants to be a nutcase and start being an anti-Semitic, by definition that's not something that I accepted when I moved in here. I think that makes sense. The Mustaber. But what is interesting is there's a Shita of the Ran. Now, this Shita of the Ran isn't Nidarim and Daf Chav Ches Amid Aleph. He says a totally different pshat in why Dina the Malchus Dina works. And it's a big nafka min al-halach. And this Ran is quoted often by Yeshiva Bocher and the Haredi movement in Eretz Yisrael. This is going to get a little political now. So the Ran says the reason why Dina the Malchus Dina is because it's similar to the Rashbam, but it's not because of the Haskama that we accepted. But the Ran says it's because he's letting you live here. You're in my house, so you play by my rules. You're using my property, you're using my roads, you're using my parks. You play by my rules. That's what the Ran says, right? That's what the Ran says. So the Ran says, based on my Chiddush, Dina the Malchus Dina doesn't apply where? In Eretz Yisrael. Now you understand where this is going, Adi? Dina Malchus Dina doesn't apply in Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because Kili Kol Haaretz is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's land. What Rosh HaMemshala can now get up and say, you want to play by my rules? You want to say, this is not your land, you're not inviting me here. My ancestors were here before him, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the one who brought us in here, and it's his land. You don't own this land, and no melech should ever think that he owns this land. That's the difference between a melech and a melech in America and a melech in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore the Ran says, I'll be din. The Ran says there's no Dina Malchus Dina in Eretz Yisrael. What? What?
It's never there Kosh Baruch Hu's land?
Right. I guess the Ran specifically going on the pasuk. No, the Ran specifically makes a distinction. What does he say? Shalom mitzvos hamelech katzva atois the davka b'malchi of the chom mamar dinim melchus dinim b'pnei she'eretz shalom yachol omer lahem im lo satz mitzvos hagarash es chaymen aser hamalchi Yisrael. No, in Mistama it means the Melech Yisrael, Malachi Akum don't care. But Malchi Yisrael loish lefishe Eretz Yisrael kol Yisrael shutfim ba. I'm sorry, so I said it wrong. It's not because of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's because kol Yisrael shutfin in Eretz Yisrael. Everyone has a chelik in Eretz Yisrael, and he doesn't have more of a chelik. That was wrong. Fine. So that was what the Ran says. Since in Eretz Yisrael we're all shutvin, so therefore Dina Malchus Dina doesn't apply in Eretz Yisrael. So I have just 1 hour. First of all, Reb Shechter, whenever he speaks about Dina Malchus Dina, he quotes this Ran, and this is a famous Ran. And the Ran says, and he says, first of all, right, there are a few different opinions of Dina Malchus Dina. Before the Ran, it wasn't about playing by the rules in the Melech land. There's Hefker Bezdin Hefker of the Rabbeinu Yoina, the Dvar of Ram, right? There's the Rashbam that we were makabel on ourselves based on that. So there are a few different Rishonim. What Shechter likes to point out is that although this is famous politically, this Ran is not even brought in Shulchan Aruch. So it's not even a daya that's brought in Shulchan Aruch, which is an interesting. So just to start around walking around, Dina Malchus Dina doesn't apply in Eretz Yisrael. That's what the Ran says. It's true. There are some Rishonim that said it, MS. But Shechter likes to quote that it's not even didn't even make the books in Eretz Yisrael. My ha'ara is that lefi this Ritva and this Ritvaz that we just quoted, it's also not pshat in this Gemara. Clearly the Ran couldn't have learnt like them in our Gemara. Again, why? What did they say? Shmuel's the Bala Memra in our Gemara, which means what? We link our Gemara, Kol Omer B'Parshas Melech Muterbo. That is the source of Shmuel's halach in the 4 places of Shas of what? Of Dina de Malchus Dina. Which means what? The source of Dina de Malchus Dina comes from where? Comes from Malchei Yisrael. Comes from the Psukim in Shmuel. How could you say that Dina de Malchus Dina doesn't apply to Malchei Yisrael? That's the Psukim that Shmuel is talking about. Clearly, the Ran divorced our sugya entirely from Dina de Malchus Dina. Learned like we started off our Gemara. It's a zaytik machlokes how to learn the Psukim in Shmuel, and you have to have machlokes tanoim whether or not there's a mitzvah to be Mamid HaMelech or not. But if you accept the Ritva and the Radvaz, like we suggested, that this is Shmuel Lishitasa, which is the Geshmak Pshat, it's Shmuel here, and it's Shmuel in the other 4 places in Shas, even though no one beferish links them, but it happens to be Gevaldik, that it's Shmuel and Shmuel, so the Memela you can't, not only is it not accepted in Shulchan Aruch, you can't say like the Ran, because it's not just the word that Dina de Malchus Dina also applies to Klal Yisrael, to Malchei Yisrael, it's the source for Dina de Malchus Dina, because Kol Omer Parshas Melech Muter Bo.